Hello, and welcome to Salesforce Release Readiness Live. We're here to talk about all of the latest and greatest features in the Service Cloud for Summer 17. And before we get started, I'm just going to cover one last thing, which is our forward-looking statement. Because we're lucky to be joined by a panel of product managers, we might be discussing some future technologies, some roadmaps, some exciting features that are coming, which means that it's important that Salesforce customers make all of your purchasing decisions based on currently available technologies. So that's our forward-looking statement. And without any further ado, I'd love to introduce our panel of product managers.
Thank you, Leanne. Hi, folks. My name is Gautam Vasudev. I am with the Service Cloud Group, and I've actually been working here for close to 6 years now in product management. And I have to say, this is a special release for us because this is the first release that we're going live and generally available with Lightning Service. So I'm really looking forward to walking you through what's coming out in Summer 17. So, Leanne, before we get kicked off, I think I do want to call out to all of our customers just a great deal of thanks and gratitude from our product management team. I think it's certainly a privilege to work on this team, and the conversations that we've had over the last year, especially since our beta of Lightning Service, have been amazing. The feedback that we receive is really helpful, and I'm looking forward to more between now and Dreamforce, as are we all. We want to make Dreamforce really special, and this certainly helps. So with that, let's dive into console and case management. Now, I spoke about why this release is special. It's really special because we've made a lot of progress on our Lightning Service capabilities. And if you're one of those customers who checked out our beta with the spring release, you're going to find even more goodness. But for those of you who are listening in today who are not familiar with Lightning Service, let me just introduce it to you at a high level. So Lightning Service is that technology stack. It is the UI and the framework that is going to usher Service Cloud into 2020 and beyond. That's our technology bet. And we've been immensely successful with our classic product. In fact, we've been a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for the last 9 years. Lightning is going to help us continue that leadership into the next 9. So where did we start with Lightning? Of course, there's a lot of surface area to cover when it comes to Service Cloud. We had a lot of capabilities, channel capabilities, functionalities, productivity capabilities. We had to make a beachhead and a start somewhere. And our focus for the summer release really has been on a set of key areas. The first is bring the best of case management and the Service Console from Classic to Lightning. We had 4 or 5 years of very, very good learning and customer feedback. So as I go through the demo today, you're going to see that the Lightning Console and Lightning Service looks and feels very familiar. And that's certainly intentional. Along with that, we've also had the opportunity to bring in the best of Lightning into the console. And that's where you will see new Lightning components. You're going to see the related record component. You're going to see the history component. But it hasn't stopped there. We've had the opportunity to leverage all of the goodness of Lightning and bring the best of Lightning to the Service Cloud experience. And what I mean by that is the app builder and the Kanban view and new notes functionality and a lot of other pieces of productivity that we'll walk through when we get to the demo. So let's cut over to the demo right now, because this is really where I think a lot of folks on the call are going to start seeing Lightning Service and its power under the hood. So here you're looking at my Lightning console, and I'm looking at a case 1016, and the case happens to be about a microwave which is not working per the customer's expectations. Let me orient you to what you're looking at. The case subject is here along with case details on the left, and this card is, of course, inline editable. Below the case details, I have contact details. Here, you can not only edit the card details inline, but you could also perhaps find a contact or set a contact directly on the case from the case context. You don't need to open a new screen. As you saw, when I set the John Amos contact, not only did we get contact details from the John Amos record, we are also seeing other cases from John Amos. And this is one of the key capabilities that we have in Lightning, where you can show information not just from the case object, but all of the related objects and lookups on the case. So not just the contact, you can see related lists from the case's account or from the case's asset. And I'll show you how easy it is to set this up. In the center here, you see the case feed, and you'll notice that we have a lot of the elements from the classic case feed. So we can quickly skim the case feed. There's a collapse mode to show you just the surface level details. And if you need to go into that next level, you can always expand the case feed. You can go into that level of detail. We also have our feed filters, so if you want to very quickly narrow down what's happening on the case. And a good example of why this is so powerful is that when I look at these feed filters, you can see I was able to bring up or narrow down the feed to just those comments very quickly. If instead I had to do that through my related list, I would actually have to go into that related list section, find the related list, and then access it. So feed filters provide a very powerful way to see filtered content and data right within the context of the case. On the top, we have our publisher actions, and this is where agents and customer service reps self-train to know that actions on the case live here. For example, if I have to make a case comment, it's right in front of me, and email as well. It's the same with social responses and call logs, etc. This capability, of course, carries forward from Lightning, from Classic, and we are seeing even more benefits to using feed-based publishers or case actions within this context. Now, for those of you who do love the traditional transactional field-based view of the case object, that, of course, is available to you. It carries on from Classic. With most of the same capabilities, you have inline edit capabilities and, of course, the full edit screen. But in this is that I can now bring up the history component and reopen that case. So once again, carrying forward all of that capability from Classic, we also have a history component, which shows me not only the case or the top-level object I open, but it also shows me those subtabs that I open. So if I open this knowledge article, you'll see that my history component, once again, very neatly categorizes the fact that I'd opened the case and opened the knowledge article below it. Moving to the right-hand column, I'll pass it on to Deborah in just a bit to speak about the knowledge component. But what I want to show you is another nifty feature in our related list capability around attachments. Now, you'll see here that I have a Lightning logo that I've added to this related list. What if I was to tell you that in Lightning, all file and attachment related lists actually have drag and drop capability. So you no longer need to go through that Windows Navigator or the Mac Navigator to find a particular file. You can drop not only a single file, you can actually drop multiple files onto the case at the same time. And this saves so many clicks for agents. So I walked you through a lot of functionality that's on the case itself. I want to quickly cover the functionality that comes to you in the utility bar down here. So of course, we have our phone panel, and with Lightning, we've introduced a new demo CTI adapter. For those of you who are not familiar with this, it's just a tool that we help our partners with to show them how CTI integrations work in Salesforce. And you can see here that we are able to simulate incoming calls from contacts. And in the background, you saw Jeff Miner's contact record was screen popped. We also have the history component that I walked through and a new notes component. Now, we've seen over the last few years that multiple customers built this as a custom component in Classic. With Lightning, it just comes out of the box for you. And you can see here that you can take notes, you can associate notes to records, you can share notes as well. So definitely a very powerful paradigm and functionality in Lightning. And then two other points that I want to show, just sneak peeks. Purvi is going to speak about omnichannel in a little bit, but I also wanted to show you macros. So macros is something that we are working on in the background. It's not available with the summer release, but I'll show you a sneak peek anyway. You see here that I actually have a macro that is going to put this case on hold and then add a case comment. And as I'm running the macro, you'll notice that I can actually stop the macro in Lightning. And you might be asking yourself, well, why do agents need to stop a macro? The simple reason is because sometimes agents run the wrong macro. So you don't want a situation where if a macro is begun, there's no ability to stop it. But if you had stopped it and you do want to resume it, you can do that as well. So you can see this macro is running in the background, changing the case status and adding a case comment. Macros should be coming your way with the winter release. I also wanted to highlight that we now have the Kanban view available for cases. So if I go to, say, My Open Cases, I can go ahead and choose the Kanban view. I can summarize it, and I can say, summarize this by case status. And when I go ahead and save, you'll see that I'm automatically seeing the Kanban orientation for cases. Now, if you're wondering, how do I get all of this goodness? And if this is something that you're curious to try out in your sandbox, which I would encourage all of you to do, we would love the feedback. Go to your sandbox, and if you are a Service Cloud customer or a CRM customer, you're going to see this tile. You're going to see the Lightning Service tile. When you click on it, everything that I showed you today, with the exception of macros and omnichannel, is just going to be available for you. All of this is pre-configured, and the reason why we are doing this is because we want people to realize that the transition to Lightning is actually quite straightforward when it comes to configuration. We are able to use a lot of the configuration from Classic and bring it to Lightning. The last piece that I'm going to end with is really that secret sauce of Lightning. This is where a lot of people and a lot of customers have gotten so excited about what we're getting in this new service experience. So I walked you through all of these components that we saw on the Lightning case screen. Let me show you how easy it is to set this up. I'm going to drag the same John Amos contact record and the list view onto the case screen. And the way we do that is you would select a related record component, and instead of pointing it to the case, you just say, show me the related record of the contact. And you can see all of a sudden I'm getting those contact details. If you want to show a related list, not from the case, but from the case contact, instead of saying use this case, you would just go to the contact and say, from the contact, get me the contact cases. So these kind of transitive relationships are super powerful, and they really help paint that rich tapestry of Customer 360 that your agents need to save time on clicks and focus more on empathizing with their customers. I'll just leave one last comment. For customers who do use the split view, keep in mind that it's now available in Lightning. You can see here that I have my list of work items alongside my case. And for customers that really love those keyboard shortcuts and saving clicks, that's available too now. And you can access it from either the help menu, where you can say view keyboard shortcuts, or you can bring it up quickly using the command and question mark keys. All right, with that, let me switch back to the presentation. And we've gone through a lot of functionality here. Lightning service is packed. There's a lot of feature functionality that's coming your way. I would encourage all of you to check it out. And there are two tools that everyone on this call should keep in mind when it comes to Lightning service. The first is check with the Lightning roadmap. What if I told you that before Lightning, prior to Lightning, Salesforce never published our roadmaps publicly? However, for Lightning, we definitely want customers to be aware of what's coming up. So check out the Lightning roadmap. The second is there's a tool in your back pocket called the Lightning Readiness Check, which you can run against your org at any time. And it's a very clean process. It doesn't impact your data in any way. And it emails you this wonderful PDF which shows you which features you're using in Classic and what they look like in Lightning. So definitely check that out. And if you're curious to know what's coming out in winter, we're all about enabling more functionality, more core functionality around email templates, macros, getting entitlements and milestones through more CTI capabilities like a click-to-dial component. But if you had to take a step back, our real goal is to get to parity with Classic as quickly as you can so that not just new customers, but existing customers get to benefit from this journey. So with that, the next section is going to be knowledge, but let's check if you have any questions.
Yeah, so that was a great demo. Thank you. That was a ton of functionality, and it's amazing to see how much is included with Lightning Service and also how customizable the pages are for all of our customers
Absolutely.
who want to maybe add some additional components or custom components to those case pages. So
Yeah,
that was
definitely.
a really exciting demo. That's awesome. And I know our community is excited too. Elna, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we do. Questions just started coming in fast and furious, so I'm going to try to take as many as we can as you're asking them. However, we will follow up with you if we don't get to it in this segment. So there's been a lot of excitement around the console because we did cover it in the Sales Cloud and the App Cloud segments yesterday and the day before, and definitely keyboard shortcuts is huge. I mean, a lot of folks, especially the Service Cloud, because people need to work fast with going through all those cases, and so that's a big one. And also one question from Jeanette about favorites. So we talked about favorites yesterday, and with the App Cloud folks, and they mentioned there was a change to favorites recently that allowed them to be used in the console. So that works in the Sales Console. So if you could tell me, does that also work in the Service Console, and just describe what are the capabilities and limitations?
So, great question. Summer is not going to get you favorites just yet. And the reason is, would it surprise you to know there's a bit of a religious debate happening with favorites, in the sense that when you favorite something in the console, are you favoriting the whole workspace, or are you favoriting a particular record? So we're definitely trying to accelerate that conversation and get favorites as soon as we can. Between summer, winter, we'll see where it lands.
So in the Sales Console, you can actually open favorites.
Correct.
That
You can
had
open
created
favorites.
outside of the console. You just
Exactly.
can't create new ones.
Correct.
So can you open favorites in the
Yes.
Service Console as well?
Yes, absolutely. So that's a great distinction. Opening favorites is going to work the same whether you're in a Sales Console or a Service Console. It's really when you're trying to save a favorite in the console that we're trying to make sure that we have the best experience out there.
Right. Thank you.
But I would like to say Lightning Service would be a favorite. It still be a favorite for the customers.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of the idea of favoriting the workspace, and that's
Correct.
a different sort of category of favorite. So
Yes.
Interesting. And then Jason was wondering, does Lightning Experience need to be enabled for the use of Lightning Service, or is this updated console independent of that?
No, it is a part of the Lightning experience. So you would just enable Lightning based on the standard processes that you are aware of today, which is through the Lightning node and setup. And service Lightning service would just show up as a part of that.
Oh, and the split view is a big one as well.
Yeah.
That's, again, huge for service. Christopher is giving a shout on that one. And you mentioned the roadmap, the general
Yeah.
Lightning roadmap. How would you find the Service Cloud roadmap?
Actually, great question. And I think there's no better way to answer it than just to show everyone who might be listening in today. If you just search for Salesforce Lightning roadmap, you're going to see it come up as either the first or second link. Now, there are two ways you can get it. You can either get a PDF copy, or you can get it from our help section. One thing to note is that whether you're looking at the PDF copy here, or you're looking at the help section, right now, it extends up to summer, and the reason for that is we're just going live with summer. So if you check back here in 2 weeks, you'll see this change to winter. And then the future column is going to point to spring and summer and beyond. So just bear with us, folks. As we go through the summer release, it's going to get updated.
Do we have time for one more question, Leanne?
One more question, and then we're going to move on and hear more about Service
Okay,
Cloud.
one more quick one. So you mentioned the Lightning Readiness check. How does that evaluate Service Cloud readiness for Lightning?
So awesome question. Until summer, the Lightning Readiness Check did not actually incorporate all of the Service Cloud functionality, but we've now extended it not only to cover core case functionality, but also knowledge, console sidebar components, console utility bars, even Omni and Live Agent at the highest level. So Lightning Readiness is your secret tool, as I mentioned. Definitely run it, because now it incorporates Service Cloud in the same way that you would expect it to work for Sales Cloud, for example.
Sophie was asking, is there a place where we can see a list of features that compares Lightning service versus Classic service to help evaluate, other than the readiness check? I mean, I know that's the big one, right? You can run that right in your org. But is there a place where you can just see generally, features that are available on the roadmap, et cetera?
Right, great question. And customers have been asking us for different permutations of either the readiness check or the roadmap in this comparative fashion. There have even been requests for white papers to be put out so that there's an easier business justification that can be sold internally. For example, Lightning is better because, and whether it's performance or components, etc. So specifically for a comparative study, that is something that we would include as part of this white paper, and the white paper is something that we will be working on over the next release, and hopefully much before the Dreamforce timeframe, we'll put it out to get feedback so that at Dreamforce we want to showcase it.
Yeah, I would definitely start with the readiness check, and there's actually, if you run the readiness check, you're not on your own interpreting that. There are consultations that you can sign up for. There's webinars on it to help you interpret and understand what to do with it, because sometimes it can be fairly voluminous, the report. Yeah. So somebody will help you get through that and interpret what are small little things and what are bigger things.
Yeah, this is a great clarification too, because the readiness check has some really interesting information. In addition, specifically for Service Cloud, we're probably going to append an extra 10 steps for migration of Lightning service to that as well. So coming in the work.
Kimberly was asking, is there any benefit to creating different consoles for service and sales for different use cases, or should you just have one console and just have everybody use that?
Good question. I think if your users are going to be spanning multiple objects, it's just easier to have one console. However, in many of our customers, for example, tier 1 reps only know cases. That's their entire worldview. There's little benefit to putting opportunities or leads or contacts. So it really depends on the use case. For more mature customers where the role is very well defined, you might have a specific console. For other customers where you do have cross-object, where your agents are also your inside sales, then you want to have one console because it's no different.
The same thing with sales. People are just focused on sales. They're all about leads, contacts, and accounts and opportunities, and maybe they want the dialer, for example, in there, whereas the support agents might have knowledge in there. So you might have some differences in the way you configure the console, depending on what their role is. But certainly you could if you wanted to. It kind of depends on your organization.
One rule of thumb when it comes to just designing applications for end users, keep it simple. The simpler that you can make the experience, the more productive your users are going to be, and the faster they'll ramp up.
But one thing I would say add to that is don't hide things that they might use. Like sometimes people will not put certain objects into a console thinking, well, they're not going to need this, and then they want it and they have to kind of hunt for it. So I think it is really role-based, right, to figure out the right things that person needs all the time and may need.
And Alfredo you mentioned entitlements and milestones in the console, and I think you mentioned that as part of the roadmap. Can you just talk about where that's at again?
So actually, in conjunction with the field service team, we're delivering both the milestones component that you might be familiar with from Classic, which is the countdown timer when you look at a case, as well as milestones, service contracts, and entitlements, and that's all coming in the winter timeframe. So you should be up and running in case that's something that's blocking you at the moment in Lightning.
Got it. Now, what about the console toolkit? Is that something you can use in Lightning?
That's a great question. So this is definitely something for everyone who's listening in today to be aware of. The shape of the console toolkit in Lightning is different from Classic. So if you have a Visualforce page that has a lot of customization and is using those console APIs, it's not going to be something you can drop into Lightning and have work. There is a Lightning console toolkit API. It has many of the same names and much of the same syntax. We've taken the opportunity to upgrade the API to use JSON-based parameter passing. And there's a pilot out for it right now. But you should see a lot more maturity and the final shape of it in the winter and spring timeframe.